For Brisco, let's get a couple of things out of the way before we dive into the Kansas City Chiefs.
Let's do it.
First off, pizza-wise, where are you going for a slice of pie?
I think you had a great list. Your Mount Rushmore, very well defined. I do think when you said you could have had Il Lazzarone, I literally in my car, I went, oh, because I do think Il Lazzarone is the best slice of pizza in the city. But I think about it in St. Joe. I think about Pizza Shuttle in Lawrence. So I think Waldo is a great call. I think I'm going Pizza Shuttle. Il Lazzarone's definitely on my list, and I think Minsky's has to be.
Tomorrow, if you had to change your name and you had to be named after one of the reindeer, what would you change your name to?
I mean, I have kind of an ego thing, so my immediate instinct was Rudolph. Oh, but Blitzen's better for sports radio. I'd be Joshua Blitzen for sure.
Okay, that's the one I picked too.
Yeah.
Rob, tomorrow, if you had to change your name and you could only be named after one of the reindeer, what name would you pick?
I mean, are those are the only two answers? Like, you're not
Dancer and Prancer are not great.
Dancer and Prancer aren't great. I'm not gonna be like Donner. Donner's not great either. By the way,
no, there's some historical Donners that didn't fare very well.
Hold on, Dasher's a good name.
Dasher's good.
You're telling me Dasher's not a good name?
Yeah,
like,
but
if your name was Dasher Britton, that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, but of the three, if you're like, hey, if you tell someone I'm named after one of the reindeer, I'm Dasher, they'd be like, really? Blitzen and Rudolph are right there. And yeah, Donner, Dancer, and Prancer, all bad at the bottom.
Okay, text line.
Donner might be the worst.
Hey, you know what? Comet's not bad either. You can be Rob Comet.
Rob, if your name was Vixen, that'd be nuts.
That's tough.
Vixen's pretty bad too.
That was a tough draw.
That'd be a nuts name. And I'm saying that somebody named Carrington. I would look down on you if your name was Vixen.
You can't be going
absolutely
Vixen.
Look down on you if that was the case. All right. Now that we sit here, Joshua Brisco, happy to have you in studio. This is the two main points that I have right now with the Chiefs. We'll break them down. The first point is this. If you were going to tell me that the Chiefs are going to turn this thing around, I don't believe you. I don't agree, but I will entertain it.
Yeah.
Two things have to improve. Pressure and penalties.
100%.
They have to get better at getting pressure on the other team's quarterback. If you were telling me that they basically have 3 games left, they have Denver, Los Angeles, and Houston. If you don't get to any one of those quarterbacks and you don't get pressure and you don't get sacks, one of those quarterbacks is good enough to beat you, and I don't care where the game is played. So pressure, that's number one. Second is penalties. This team's not good enough to keep having first downs get taken off the board because of a hold. This team is not good enough to keep having touchdowns get taken off the board because of a penalty. You can turn things around if you focus on those two things, pressure and penalties. That's what I got to see the Chiefs do in this final month of the season.
I 100% agree, and I think if I could wave the magic wand and just get rid of one of those, they might be able to make this run just without the penalties, because the defensive penalties have also been making it worse. I think the biggest systemic issue on the Chiefs roster is the pass rush. Like, I think that's the thing that we're going to look at the end of the season, and something we talked a lot about at the beginning and in the offseason even. Of, man, you got to make sure you just have enough guys here, but Chris Jones gets another year older, Karlaftis doesn't take a step, and you lose Omar Norman-Lott really early. So I understand how we got here, but that is absolutely... That's the biggest, roster construction problem. The penalty thing is baffling, and it's not like Andy Reid teams never have penalties. I don't think that comes down to head coaching in the way that a lot of people seem to kind of chalk it up. But the Chiefs have had plenty of years where they've been middle of the pack in penalties. Jawan Taylor has had that problem his entire time here, and he's outplayed it for the majority of this season. But the absolute avalanche of penalties that so often seem to come in incredibly high leverage moments that either give up a free first down or even the low key penalties that make 1st and 10. Maybe you picked up 7 or 8 yards. Well, now it's 1st and 20 because we're moving back 10 and we're doing it all over again. There are high leverage penalties and there are just the immediate behind the sticks penalties. And both of those have killed them so many times this year. When you talk about man, this team won all their close games last year, they lose all their close games this year. I think that's probably the simplest reason why.
The point that I made yesterday is the Chiefs have proven all of us wrong so far this season. When somebody suggested that they could lose the AFC West, we all screamed out, how can you say that? All season, oh, man, they'll figure it out. They'll turn it around. Hey, they always win this game in the division. Yep. Hey, they always win when their back is up against the wall. Yep. So far, if you have been predicting success for the Chiefs, you have been wrong for basically the entire season. So I'm kind of now on the other side. Man, you got to continue to prove me wrong on the other end. I'm off. I'm out. Because I'm looking at it, and the biggest reason why I am picking Houston is I have seen what the Chiefs look like when they don't have their starting left and right tackle.
Yep.
And you were telling me going into this game, hey, where do you think the strength is of the team that they're playing? Is it their ability to get to the other team's quarterback? And more specifically, it's their two DNs. Wait, one of them is going to be lined up against Wanye Morris. The other one's going to be lined up against Jalen Moore. And that's the I'm sorry, I got to pick the opposition when it comes to this game. So at least for me, I'm just on the, man, I have stood by you and I've made excuses. Oh, and you'll figure out a way to win. Man, you got to prove me wrong in this game. And you got to show me that you can run the football successfully. You got to show me that you can protect your quarterback. You got to show me that you can minimize the mistakes that are going to potentially pop up in Sunday Night Football.
5 or 6 weeks ago, I floated out a new invention. It's bad for sports media, but it's good for collective sanity. I said we need to develop a hot take incubator. When you have an opinion, this is for the NFL, not just for the Chiefs, but when you have an opinion that you take because you watched a primetime game, put it in the incubator, leave it in there for 3 or 4 weeks, and let's see how it looks then. And if that's still true 3 or 4 weeks later, then you can go ahead and hatch that take out into the wild and say, yeah, no, look, I think Drake May's actually good. But you can't say that in week 1 because week 1, the Patriots lose to the Raiders, right? Weird stuff happens too often. The Chiefs have served us well, or we have been served well by that patience that you're describing, and that default status of, yeah, look, man, you can pick against the Chiefs if you want. I'm going to look smart in January, and you're going to look dumb. I don't know how point A to point B is going to happen, but if this is a team with a high-flying offense and Tyreek Hill, they're going to make the AFC Championship game bare minimum. It's a team without Tyreek Hill. They're retooling. They've got a young defense. They're going to make the AFC Championship game minimum. It's Mahomes having an MVP season. It's Kareem Hunt carrying the offense. Whatever it is, you know exactly how far the Chiefs season has gone at a minimum. Now, I think you're right to say, hey, look, it's 1-3 in the last 4 games, and it's not just the results, it's the process, and it's the reason that they have lost these games. I think it's okay to ask the Chiefs to prove you wrong and say, no, we are going to overcome these issues, the penalties and the pass rush in particular, because they haven't been able to overcome those so many times this season. It feels crazy because, again, literally every single year where Patrick Mahomes has started as this team's quarterback, they have at least made it to the conference championship game. So I wasn't in a place 5 weeks ago where I was going to say, no, they're not going to miss the playoffs. Are you kidding me? They're going to make the AFC Championship game, and then we'll see what happens. Now, at this point, they are 6-6 in the first week of December. I mean, they have to prove that they're better than that.
Yeah, and at least for me, it's just, if we are just doing the quite simple say it out loud test, it is hard for me, and I don't care what team it is in the league. If you're a 6-6 team heading into December 7th, it is now difficult for you to tell me that now you have the ability to flip some light switch and now go 5-0 down the stretch.
Right.
Well, I don't think the Chiefs are now going to completely fall apart and win 7 games this year, but the same way that they have been 1 or 2 plays away in these games, I think they're going to be 1 or 2 games away from making the playoffs this year. Like, this team goes 10-7. They don't have the necessary tiebreakers. They're the 8th best team in the AFC, and they're that close to making the postseason. Things just don't work out. That's just kind of been the theme of 2025 for them.
And with the frustrating thing, that you're right about all of that. The frustrating thing is that that's been true for almost everyone. Like when you say, if you're a team that's 6-6, you could get that, essentially that argument all the way up to the 3 seed in the AFC. The Jags are 8-4. And if you tell me that you believe for sure the Jags are going to win their next 7 or 8 games to get them into the AFC Championship game, I'd love to know why you believe that with so much confidence. It's frustrating that the Chiefs are absolutely just one of those teams in the mire of all of this, in the tar pit of this NFL season, where 5 or 6 teams, you say, hey, the 3 best games from the Jags or Ravens or Chargers, and frankly, man, the Patriots and the Broncos, the 3 best games of any of those teams, you could represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. The frustrating thing is that this would have been an awesome year for the Chiefs to just stand ahead above all of that, and they have instead just found themselves right in the middle of that group of teams you can't reasonably trust.
Right now, we're talking to Joshua Brisco, going through some of the top stories right now with the Kansas City Chiefs. I guess I feel like fans are kind of holding on to that last hope of, I've been wrong so far about everything. Now, I would say the fans are holding on to, at least these games are at home, which I
Yeah.
think is a very, very reasonable argument.
Sure.
The numbers suggest that the Chiefs have been a much different team at home than they have been on the road. And their saving grace is their 3 most important games the rest of the season are all at home in, well, 2 in the next 2 weeks, this game and then the 1 against the Chargers, and then coming up in a couple of weeks on Christmas night when you have the Denver Broncos. I just got to see a level of consistency for them. And usually at this point in the season, I'm seeing the Chiefs ascend. I'm seeing the Chiefs starting to figure some things out when it comes to their rotation, who's on the field, who's not on the field. That right now, that just doesn't feel like it's coming together the way that it has in the past.
No, and in so many ways, that Thanksgiving game where you do have that inflection point of where you like to think that they're going to hit their stride, you're also doing it in what ends up being the most watched regular season game in NFL history. Like you are supposed to be hitting your stride on the biggest stage as the weather changes, like all of these things that have been recent signposts for the fact that the Chiefs are about to take over. They go out in that game, and it's, I don't know, there's plenty to pick from. That might have been the most disappointing game of the season because you have a defense that had really performed pretty well in the previous couple of weeks where they did plenty against the Broncos and the offense let them down. They did just enough against the Colts with an incredible fourth quarter there to make that happen. And it's a defense that suddenly can't get off the field against the Cowboys. It's an offense that gets the fast start, largely thanks to the defense, that we've been begging them to have, and then they get to the second and third quarter, much less the double dip opportunity. They just can't do anything in the middle quarters of that game. And so I think that's an unfortunately accurate angle to take of like it. Not only are they not tightening things up right now, we've actually seen some things loosen. And now you're talking about going into this game against this amazing pass rush, at least missing your left tackle. And it seems like it's going to continue, obviously, to be more than that. So it is a hard case to build outside of that last little bit of Chiefs mysticism that I still have some of. If you told me like, yeah, no, I mean, the Chiefs are still favored in that game against Houston unless the lines moved on the O-line injuries more than I realize. I don't think it's foolish to pick the Chiefs to win this game. And if you said, yeah, they'll beat the Texans, and they'll be favored against the Chargers, and maybe they're favored against the Broncos on Christmas because they would have won these 3.
Favored for every game the rest of the season.
That's the thing. But would you, in the parlance here, would you parlay a 5-0 record? Absolutely not. Like I absolutely think I could talk myself into the Chiefs winning each of these games week by week. But do I have confidence that they're going to run the table, which they almost have to do here? No, I don't think you can have confidence in a team that's been as inconsistent as they've been.
Right now, we're joined in studio by Joshua Brisco talking about the Kansas City Chiefs. Coming up on the other side, I want to get your thoughts on Thursday Night Football coming up today. A massive game. Feels like a playoff game. The loser, I do not think, can find their way into the postseason. We got Joshua Brisco in studio. Keep it right here. It's The Drive.